So my cousin just sent me a screenshot of the new merger that is taking place, and I guess it took place and launched today. And I kind of wanted to talk about it just really quickly. Again, this is without me doing any research on either of these companies. I am not familiar with their stock history, but I am familiar with the companies themselves. So I just kind of wanted to touch on it. Recently, today, started the merger of WWE, Wrestling Entertainment, and UFC. Okay, and in the article, it said that the WWE shares would be technically merged with UFC to create new TKO Group holdings. Okay, and so I'm going to read here. TKO Group, which houses WWE and UFC, begins trading on the New York Stock Exchange, and again, that began today. It says one of two. A UFC logo stands outside the arena. This is from April of 2021. Shares of the TKO Group, the new company that houses both WWE and UFC, opened at $102 per share in their first day of trading on the New York Stock Exchange on Tuesday, September 12, 2023. That is today. Okay, and it said it has previously closed its previously announced deal with World Wrestling Entertainment. It is a done deal. It is done. It is in the books. The pairing of WWE with the company that runs Ultimate Fighting Championship creates a $21.4 billion sports entertainment company. Holy shit. That is not small news. That is not small news. I'm going to read a little bit of this article before I talk about WWE and my thoughts on this merger. So it says shares of TKO Group, the new company that houses WWE and UFC, opened at $102 per share the first day of trading. It says Endeavor Group Holdings Inc. has closed its previously announced deal with World Wrestling Entertainment. The pairing, I just read that. And it says in a presentation after the deal was announced in April, the WWE and Endeavor said that they will cross-promote to drive brand awareness and deepen penetration of their overlapping fan base of more than 700 million UFC fans and 1.2 billion WWE fans worldwide. Listen, this is a massive deal, okay? This is a massive deal. It says that Endeavor has a 51% controlling interest in the new company. Existing WWE shareholders hold a 49% stake. So almost, just a little bit, almost half and half, but for the sake of who owns more, Endeavor does own more of the shares, right? Their stake is a little bit higher, 2% higher. So it says, with UFC and WWE under one roof, we will provide unrivaled experiences for more than 1 billion passionate fans worldwide. And I don't doubt that they will. The CEO of Endeavor and TKO Group said in a statement. Another analyst said, we like the assets of UFC and WWE in a world where linear TV is losing market share to streaming. That is absolutely a fact. Okay? Thus, live sports content is in high demand. Says the upcoming rights expirations for both WWE and UFC present meaningful upside opportunities to the cash flows of both UFC and WWE in their own rights and will further drive EBITDA margins in each franchise incrementally higher. Okay. It says that TKO Group Holdings is trading the NICE under the TKO ticker symbol. So once again, this deal is very, very much live, and took the liberty. Of course, the chart is done now, but I did take the liberty of pulling up WWE just to see what their past stock experience has been like. I do not personally own any shares of WWE, right? I do not personally own any shares. I'm perfectly fine and comfortable with investing in my dividends and my daily investment of my ETFs, right? But I did want to pull this up just to get an idea, right, of what this company was doing before the merger. And let me tell you, it's actually quite impressive. Quite impressive, okay? Quite impressive. So on the month chart, they were down 10%. But if you click over to the 6-month chart, this stock was up 25.56%. And I have no doubt that that is due to the announcement of this merger with UFC. Year to date, up nearly 50%, y'all. Up nearly 50%. So if you got in on this, kudos to you. If any of you, I'm pretty sure some of you out there were already very aware of this merger and were able to take advantage. So if you were able to get in on this and take advantage of the opportunity to invest in a company like this before the spike, then congratulations to you. Let's click on the year. On the year, again, up 43%, nearly 50%, okay, in the past year. 5 years overall, they're up 13, almost 14%. Okay, so you bought in the last 5 years, then you are up, right? You're up. Max chart, all time, up 319% all time. That is not a small deal. That is not a small deal, okay? Now, again, I don't know anything about the fundamentals of this company, right? I don't know anything. I've not delved into their stat sheet or their bottom line. I've not delved into anything regarding their stock price. And so I don't know what that looks like, right? But what I do know is that for the past 30 years, the World Wrestling Entertainment franchise has taken over the world of wrestling entertainment. Okay, I remember I grew up on wrestling. Okay, if you know me, you know that I grew up on wrestling. Grew up on it, watched it for years. I really got into it around the early 90s, into all the way up to probably about 2014, 2015, I was attached to it. Okay, I don't watch it so much anymore because a lot of my favorites and a lot of the guys that I respected a lot have largely passed on, or they just retired, or they're too old now. But I grew up on the Ric Flairs, on the Bret Hitman Harts, on the Undertakers. Even I marched with them into the Attitude Era, which was by far one of the greatest eras to ever hit the TV mainstream media, the Attitude Era with The Rock and Stone Cold, D-Generation X and all of those guys. D-Generation X was not, that was pre-Attitude Era, but I was there, right? I was along for the ride. I enjoyed the ride, hell of a ride. And I saw this company go from what used to be WWF, World Wrestling Federation, right, to the WWE. And along the way, they have stomped on all forms of competition in their way, okay? For any of you that are wrestling fans, I know that you remember the rivalry between WCW and WWF. And listen, at one point, it was close, okay? At one point, WCW was edging out WWF when you went to the Nielsen charts as far as ratings go. But at some point, the WWF just took off. Okay, they took off on WCW, okay, and there was nothing that anybody could do about it. They took off with talents like Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. Their personalities were larger than life. It was larger than the business, and it was absolutely intoxicating watching these guys perform and put on a show every single week. Triple H that came along and came into his own. Gold, just a whole roster of very, very talented pieces, right, that made WWF what they were and launched them into the stratosphere, and they were able to transition into World Wrestling Entertainment. And they took over every single opponent that opposed them in the wrestling world. They absorbed WCW and all of their rights and content, right? They were able to absorb ECW, right? They were able to absorb so many of these other little smaller federations and say, look, you can't beat us, right? You cannot beat us. Just come and join us. Just come on. Stop fucking around. You're not going to win this battle. We've already proved. We've got the talent. We've got the numbers. We've got the capital. You're not going to beat us, right? And so what they did was they absorbed everybody. And it was a situation where it was either you get down or lay down. They essentially was like, this is a hostile takeover. And they really did take over every other entity that could have possibly opposed them. And so you have to look at it from a business standpoint and say, wow, these guys did something that was pivotal and amazing. And that allowed them to be in the position that they are now. So even without knowing the basics of the fundamentals of the company as far as their cash flow and their stock goes, even without knowing that, just knowing the brand from a business standpoint and from an entertainment standpoint in media, if you know that, then you know that this company has been mega successful. It's several hundreds of thousands to millions of billions of dollars worth more than it was when I first started watching 30 years ago. That can't be argued. It's pretty obvious. So just looking at it from that standpoint, without even going into the financials, you know that this company has been one that has been massively successful. Okay, I have stopped watching wrestling, but that doesn't mean everyone else has. Wrestling still has a cult-like following. Okay, they still have a cult-like following, and people still tune into this every single week. They still have fans all over the world. This is a global brand and a global entity. And the same thing with UFC. UFC is growing by the year. UFC has done nothing but increase their numbers, grow their fan base, and make their sport more exciting to the viewers. Okay? And I think if you've been watching, then you know that that's not arguable. UFC has been growing at a substantial rate in my eyes and in my opinion. So for these two mega giants to come together in the world of entertainment and say, hey, let's push our brands together, and together we will create a more palatable brand. We will create more awareness, which means we're going to bring in more customer base, right? We're going to bring in more money for both of us. We're going to push all of our content out there into the media. We're going to make everybody aware of what we're doing. We're going to make everybody aware that we are a household name and that we are coming, right? So this is massive, massive, massive deal. And for those of you who have been invested in this company, either of these companies for a while, I think that you are in for a treat. I'm not going to jump on. I'm not going to get FOMO and jump into this and try to. That's not my thing anymore. I've kind of grown past that. But for those of you who have been invested in this, congratulations. I think that you are in for a treat. It opened at 102. I just want to take a peek at their financials and see what's been going on, right? I just want to take a peek, a slight peek. Okay, so this is their financials. Let's go right to the balance sheet. You see the growth over the years. Jesus Christ. Oh my goodness, in 2020, they grew 136%. And you have to remember, 2020 was around the time right when we were knee deep in the pandemic. So again, you had everybody's at home, everybody's watching TV, everybody's on their phones, everybody's in social media, right? A lot of things and a lot of businesses and online retail, all that shit kicked up, right? So I'm assuming, I have no doubt that this is what this massive number and massive increase in cash growth is. Coming off that, it's no question or it's no surprise that the following year, the numbers will kind of go down a little bit. But look at 2022, right? They're still up. They're up 15% as far as cash growth goes. And then when you come down, let's drop down to total liabilities. You can see their liabilities are kind of all over the place, but they're taking on more because they're also doing more. And what I want to see, the mother load. I want to see what that free cash flow is looking like. Okay, free cash flow. There you see it. There you have it right there. Boom. They're in the green. They're in the green. They're in the green. Company is doing quite well, actually. The company is doing quite well. Now, let me see what their dividends is like. Okay, annual dividend is 48 cents. It pays out quarterly. It's 0.48, so it's not much of a dividend at all. But there is something there along with it, and that's the thing with this company. I think you get a little bit of both, right? You get in the dividend is really taking a back seat to the appreciation of the stock value, right? And so that's what you're getting with this. I think with this merger, I think that you are in for a beautiful treat. Again, just me guessing. I do not have a crystal ball. I do not know what will happen with this company. Please do your own research. Never take what somebody says over the internet as law or as word, okay? But if I had to make a guess, looking at the success of both of these companies, looking at the success of UFC and looking at the success from the outside of WWE, and what these companies have been able to do over the last decade, it's really been amazing. Okay, they have done nothing but grow, continue to grow, continue to bring in new clients, continue to bring in new customers, and continue to establish a whole new fan base. So if you have this stock, congratulations. If you do not have this stock and you're looking to get into it, please just make sure you do your own research first. Do not get FOMO and jump into this just because they had a merger. Nothing is guaranteed tomorrow, of course, and especially with the stock market. But if I had to guess, I would say that that this is going to be a pretty big deal. This is going to be a pretty big deal. In about 10 to 20 years, I think that this stock evaluation will be much higher than what it is right now. But that's going to do it for this video. Again, if you're interested in this, go ahead and check it out. I think it's worthwhile for those of you who like individual stocks. Yeah, later.